Hey everybody, welcome. Welcome to Daily Reflections with Chris, where we talk recovery from alcoholism, drug addiction, old habits, hang-ups, hurts that are still, still messing with our lives, our lifestyles, our families, things that we just got going on that, that we used to drink and drug over, right? And I'm very grateful for a program, a 12-step program, whether it be Alcoholics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Sex and Love Addicts. Anybody, even there's one that's called a book. It's called Healing Choices that many churches use for their recovery program. So I think it's called Celebrate Recovery. I did it once, but in our church it was called something different. It was called Peeling the Onion, but most churches call it Celebrate Recovery. So that is also based on a 12-step program, but for church folk. And they all help us get through our lives without depending of that addiction, whatever it may be. It could be smoking, it could be sex, it could be codependency, it could be a lot of things, right? So we talk a little bit about that here. And for our topics, we get them from this book. It's called Daily Reflections. And I am your host, Chris. So we'll get started. Today is May the 4th, and today's entry is called Entirely Honest. We must be entirely honest with somebody if we expect to live long or happily in this world. That's from Alcoholics Anonymous, page 73 and 74. Honesty, like all virtues, is to be shared. It began after I shared my whole life story with someone in order to find my place in the fellowship. Later, I shared my life in order to help the newcomer find his place with us. This sharing helps me to learn honesty in all my dealings and to know that God's plan for me comes true through honest openness and willingness. Through honest openness and willingness. Honest openness and willingness, my God. So once again, talking about the fifth step, right? It says that we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. The exact nature means we speak honestly, right? And openly, without limits, without barriers, without fear. Because step 4 happens to be a fearless and moral inventory. So how does that get... So from 4 to 5, you think, okay, well, 4, we did the fearless moral inventory. And on 5, we still got to be reminded that we need to be honest about our whole life story. Well, folks, I had a sponsor and I've been a sponsor. And something about the 5th step, when people leave stuff out or don't say the right name, they put somebody else's name. And they leave stuff out and they tell you they're done, but they're not really, because there's still stuff hiding that they still have within them that they just will refuse to share, just like I did the first couple of times, right? And this 3rd time that I went through the 5th step, my sponsor, he reminded me, he's like, look, you probably said everything that you wrote down, but there's probably more stuff, maybe stuff that you intentionally left out, but also some stuff that might creep up on your way home. So if anything comes up, anything whatsoever, I don't care what it is, how big or small you think that it is, you call me, you let me know. And I said, okay. I said, thank you. So then I left and I felt I felt like, wow, I just told that guy everything. I was like, man, that was wow. Because I've done the steps before, but not honestly or fearlessly or completely. I kind of skipped some stuff. So this time around, I was like, man, that felt really good. I'm driving home and guess what? Boom, a thought pops up. And I'm like, oh man, but that had nothing to do with my 5th step. And I was like, He said anything and everything that pops up. So then I got to call him and I'm like, hey, this popped up. And he's like, man, I know, Chris, I have children. I've done that too. I've been that father. You know, we talked about openly about stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, good. And I'm driving along, and then something else pops up, and I'm like, nah, I'm not calling him about this. This is not even a big deal. I mean, I think we talked about it. And then I reminded myself, no, Chris, you said you were going to do everything and anything. You were going to give 100% to this program, 110%. Even when you think you didn't have anything else, you were going to give it. So this is your chance. Let's go. So then I call my sponsor, and I'm like, man, I know we talked about this, but I think I might have left some stuff out. And this is what came up, and we talked about it. And he's like, okay. Yeah, that's good, man. Thanks, man. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Really? And the more and I think it was like 3 times I called him by the time I got home, and it just got easier and easier to be honest and open about what was still cropping up for me. So once I got home and I did exactly what was suggested, I took the book off the shelf and I read the first 4 steps and just really reflected on what they meant to me and had I done them thoroughly, right? That's a suggestion for the ending of step 5, and then we move on to 6. So getting home and doing that, and I remember just feeling really in a place where I needed to sleep, and that's what I did. I slept the rest of the night, and I woke up in the morning, and I had what seemed to be a normal day. So I mean, nothing really big. And so I want to go back a little bit just for the sake of this story, right? So before I started the 5th step, and it says right here, let me read this real quick. It began after I shared all my whole life story with someone else. It began after I shared my whole life story with someone else in order to find my place in the fellowship. In order to find my place in the fellowship. So at the beginning of step 5, you know, my sponsor says, Chris, you've been living your life like, and he did this thing, and I think I've done it for you guys before. He says, you've been living your life like you are better than or less than. You know, he did the better than or less than sign. And I said, okay. He says, when you're done with the 5th step, you're gonna start living your life like you're equal. And I was like, oh, okay. But I didn't believe him. I just said like, oh, okay. Because I don't want to disagree. I mean, I was like, okay, but I didn't really halfway believe him. So I did my 1st step. I go home, I go to sleep, and the next day I see him about 8:30. About 8 o'clock, and he says, well, how do you feel? And I went like this, like an equal. For the first time in my life ever, I felt like equal. And in the moment, I realized that through the 5th step, through the first 4 steps, and having completed the 5th step, that I had found my place in the fellowship. That I wasn't better than or less than. I was equal to. And in the fellowship, that's where the progress is in being equal. Do we have trusted servants? Yeah, we do. Do we have newcomers? Yeah, we do. But we're all just the same. We're all just one drink away from the next drug. We're all just one resentment away from the next drama. We're all just doing this one day at a time, 24 hours at a time. Is it a lifetime progress? Yeah, it is. But to think that I'm never gonna ever be able to drink again, or that I'm gonna be sober for the rest of my life, it can be hard, intimidating, exhausting. So we only narrow it down to one day at a time, 24 hours at a time, just for today. Don't pick up a drink just for today, right? And how do we do that? Well, first thing we do is we don't go to liquor store and buy some beer And we don't sip it. We don't go to the bar and we don't put that drink in our system. That's the first thing we don't do. The second thing we do is go to a meeting. Third step we do, we help somebody else. What else we do? Well, we read the literature. We work the steps. We pray. Heck, some of us even meditate. But the ingredients are basic for a life without alcohol. They're very basic. Are they easy? Are they always easy to do? No, because sometimes we have hard days. I just came from a meeting and two or three of my compañeros, the people that I'm doing life with, the people in my group, man, they struggle with some real things. I'm not saying that my things aren't real, but I'm saying, man, some deep stuff. I feel a little grateful. But have I been there? Yeah. Have I been that person? Yes. So now when they ask, I can share my experience, strength, and hope with them. I can be there for them, to listen. I can show up to meetings and serve them coffee. I can invite them to do some service work with me, whatever it may be. I have a little bit of solution in me that I could help somebody who's going through something that I've already been through. And that's living my life honestly, open and willing, right? Because if I'm honest with the people around me, then I can honestly say, I've been there and I messed it up. But when I finally did it right, this is how I did it. Or I can honestly say, like I did today, I don't have any kids, so I cannot relate to that, but I know it must be hard because I used to be that kid. And when I grew up, I realized how much my mom suffered because I was freeloading, because I couldn't take responsibility, because I would say inappropriate things to her. And I don't mean inappropriate like sexual, I mean inappropriate like I would say cuss words at her. Some of those I don't remember. My sister was the one who would remind me. My sister was the one who would tell me about those days, because I would get into these mental blackouts even before I started drinking, because I went through some trauma in my life. So I learned how to black out very young. And a lot of those times that I got in disagreements with my mom, I blacked out, and she would say that I said this or I hurt her, and I would deny it because I honestly could not remember. I could honestly not remember even fighting with her. Even to this day, I cannot remember of my own. I cannot remember on my own those moments. I can remember what my sister said I did. I can remember how my mom said I made her feel when we were finally in a place where we could talk about it openly and honestly. And I look back and man, I had to apologize for something that hurt her. And maybe I don't remember, but she remembered. Maybe I didn't think I was doing wrong, but she did. So all that stuff that I was able to talk openly about in the 5th step with my sponsor, and now with you guys, I can openly talk about it. That's what gives me the liberty to live a useful life. They said that I'm gonna live happy and useful, a happy and purposeful life, or something like that, right? I can't remember right now. I'm so into this topic that I can't really remember. But in Espanol, they say feliz y útil. So yeah, I'll say happy and purposeful, something like that. but that I'm going to have purpose and I'm going to be happy. And I have purpose today because I can help somebody who's struggling with something similar. And somebody can help me when they're this is one of those gifts that you don't really, you give it away not expecting nothing in return, but you are getting something in return, because when I share my experience, strength, and hope with you, I'm actually keeping myself sober. So I do get something, but I don't do it for that reason. I do it so that other people may find hope, so that other people may find recovery, so that other people may choose to not pick up a drink today. So other people will find a solution that at one point it didn't exist, and even when it did exist, it wasn't available to everybody. Before Bill and Bob came and they made those traditions, this program, according to history, already existed. It might have existed in 6 steps at the Oxford groups, 12 steps here, 5 condensed steps in some groups, 8 healing choices, whatever it was, however many it was, Bill and Bob made sure to put those traditions that say that the only requirement is a desire to stop drinking. That's the only requirement to be a part of, this 12-step program, Alcoholics Anonymous. And you are a member when you say you are a member. And you are an alcoholic when you say. Nobody can call you an alcoholic or tell you get to decide for yourself, and nobody can kick you out of Alcoholics Anonymous. You get to decide when you're a part and when you're out, all on your own. And there's only one requirement, is a desire to stop drinking or drugging, right? Or want to be different. I don't know why I went there. Okay, I guess I'll remember at some point. But it is important. It is important information to share. Why I shared it, I don't know what I was sharing. But, I think that's important to know, that anybody's welcome. For real, for real, for real. And I say that because it's been my journey. It's been my experience that, while I was asked to leave certain places a long time ago, I've never been asked to leave this 12-step program or any group for any reason whatsoever. I have been given the choice to leave. I have been given the choice to stay, but I have never been asked for any reason at all. They've never said, "Oh man, you're not like us. You're queer. You gotta go." They never did. They never said, "Oh, well, you don't believe in God, or you're a Christian. You can't come here." They never did. Even when it would slip out about my drug addiction, they never did. And the primary purpose it's very big, the primary purpose, and the groups that I went to were primarily alcohol. But I know in my heart that I'm an alcoholic. Did I dabble drugs? Was it hard to quit those? Yes. Will I do it again? No, I don't want to, because I know I'll become extremely addicted to drugs. But I'm an alcoholic. I know that. I know that's who I am. I mean, that's not who I am, but that's to say that that's who I am. People start giving everybody a hard time because you put a label on yourself. You put a label. Man, I could put 100 labels on myself of who I think I am. But I know that my problem is alcoholism. And I'm grateful for this program that I found that gives me the solution to my problems. Is there some solutions harder than others? Yeah, it's hard to get. And it was hard for me to say some of the things that I said in my 5th step. It was so hard that in my first 5th step, I left some out. It was so hard that I never got to my 3rd, 5th step. But this last time around, I was so desperate, man. I was on a mission to prove Alcoholics Anonymous wrong. That's what I was. I was desperate for a solution And I wanted my solution to still be alcohol. So this time around, yes, I said I'm gonna do it 100%, 110%. Even when I don't want to, I'm gonna give it more, and I'm gonna give it more. And I said that primarily, mostly because at the end of step 12, if I wouldn't stay sobered, then I was gonna go back and drink. But I wanted to make sure that I put everything that I had into it first. And then if it didn't work, then I was gonna be like, okay, see you later, I'm out. I was on a mission to prove them wrong, but I wanted to make sure I did it right, 100%, and then I could be like, okay, this thing works, but not for me. I'm out of here. And folks, I made that commitment over 5 years now, and I'm still sticking to it as much as I can. Some days are easier than other days. But in all, I love that idea of me giving it more, of knowing that there's more in there that I got to give, that whether it be negative or positive, because I can sit here and tell you all the things that I put on my 5th step that weren't that great, but I did it anyway. But folks, there's a lot of good things about me, and even when I don't think that there's anything good, there's more good in me. Even when I think I can't smile anymore, I can. Even when I think I can't offer forgiveness anymore, I can. Even when I think that I'm never gonna talk to that person because I hate him so much, I got love. I got love to give. I have that today. I didn't have it before, but I have it today. And I'm grateful to this program. So folks, if you're out there, maybe you're struggling, maybe you know somebody who's struggling, share this with them. Share some hope with them today. Maybe tell them something. I don't know. I don't know that I would repeat exactly everything that I say. I mean, I don't know what situation you're in, but if it's hopeless, share this with them. I would love to share my experience, strength, and hope with anybody and everybody who's willing to listen. So share this with them, or think, if you just want to share it on your timeline, I appreciate that too. I know that I haven't always been willing to listen when people share things with me, right? That's my honesty. But when I'm going through something, I'll go back and be like, oh yeah, I remember so-and-so sent me something. I'm gonna go look for it. Because the title will be catchy, or because they'll say something in the few minutes that I listen to it, they'll say something that I could resonate with. Or they talk about a solution that now I need, now I want, now I'm looking for it. So even though this video might not help you or anybody right now, I pray and I hope that it'll help you sometime along the way. That is my big dream with this YouTube channel. That is my main focus, is to help at least one person every single day, with every single video. And if I help one person, I did what I aimed to do. I met my goal. Because I have suffered so long, so much with alcoholism, with my thoughts, with my spirituality, with getting along with others. I have suffered so much, and if anybody can get anything out of this video that will soften the blow or lessen the suffering, then man, I'm grateful, because that's exactly why I started doing this, to help people. So folks, thank you for listening. I appreciate your time. So back there on my TV, you can see it's on. I'm watching on YouTube. It's called Firefly Lane. Very interesting. I just started, and right now I'm just playing it for the dogs. Hopefully they've been quiet this whole time, so it might work. They love to watch TV. So that's what I'm watching back there. Nothing very spiritual, but it is entertaining. And I'll end with this. I I haven't been able to really stay home in a very long time because the mentality that I have is I gotta keep going, go, 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 and I'll sleep when I die. And it was pretty much causing me a lot of chaos in my life, mostly because I wouldn't rest. I wouldn't just veg. I wouldn't just give myself the space or the time to just relax. And here now lately, I've been able to give myself that. And man, it has been so rewarding to just be able to sit down and watch some TV, whatever it is. Not everything catches my eye, but when something does, I'll play it, and maybe I might watch it or not. But to be in my own home and cook my own meals and sit on the couch and just do whatever, or get on the computer or hang out with my dogs, just being home feels good and it feels safe. And that, my friends, is completely opposite of how I grew up, and a long way from where I came from as far as the healing process of the steps, the healing process of doing this thing one day at a time, the healing process of carrying this message to those who still suffer. Man, it has brought me a long way, and I'm so grateful. So folks, thank you again for listening, and I will definitely see you soon.